What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 32 of the Whatnauts Review Show, where each week we have a new story to talk about. Could be a comic book, could be a movie, TV show, anime, manga, something else, who knows. We will read it, we'll watch it, we'll come back here, do what we have to do, and talk about it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson. How are you?
I'm good, Kyle. How's your week been?
My week has been awesome. This is we're recording the weekend after Halloween. So I had a little Halloween party over at my house. That was pretty cool. Wasn't super big. I think we were expecting a little bit more, but I'm also not big on parties and stuff like that. So I was like, this is awesome. There's not many people here. It's great. But I got very, very drunk, and Thursday was not fun. So, how about you? What did you do for Halloween?
We had an office party, which was very exciting because we've gotten so many new people since last year, and I've just been waiting since like spring, and then they started rolling in. Like, okay, I want to see who's a Halloween person. Like, just counting down the days, like, all right, are you going to show up with a hat? Do you have a silly costume? Do you have a wig? What are you going to do? And thankfully, it was a great turnout. We had lots of costumes and a chili cook-off, which is our tradition. And then me and my roommate went to a local haunted house in a haunted brewery.
Spooky beer.
Yeah. Yep.
All the booze.
Both kinds, yes.
That's awesome. That sounds fantastic. I really fast because I don't want to spend too much time not talking about the book that we're supposed to be talking about. This week I got a new light, which is kind of why I guess you can't really see it, Melissa, but on the stream I have the green screen on, and on the sides here, right to either side of me, like right where is it? I can't see it, like that stuff.
Yeah.
And that stuff is not showing up on the green screen. It looks like static, which means I'm still gonna have to figure out some stuff for my lights. But it's neat. I have like two like Pixar style lamps that are attached to I guess it's a mantle, because I have a fireplace in my room that doesn't work. But there's the mantle, and they're both like clamped on that, and it's the Pixar style lamps, and they're, anyways, that, and then I had to do a like personality test thing for work, which they supposedly I think they send all new employees to, but I'm not a new employee. It's one of those things that, like, when I first started working there, I was a student. Then they kept me on after I was a student, but my boss at the time was very much like, hey, you're part-time. You're only the hired help. You're not staff. Now I have a new boss who's like, you're a part of the team. We value your opinions.
Good.
And they're like, so, like, we know, like, we want this, and that. Have you done the insight stuff? I was like, what the hell is that? They're like, you don't know what the insight stuff is? And I'm like, no, am I supposed to know? They're like, oh, well, yeah, you're gonna have to do this stuff. So go get signed up, go do all of that stuff. And the first thing they did in this exercise, she had everyone stand up and line up against one of the walls, from like how long you've been at the company. And it's one of those things that's like, this is just an icebreaker to get people talking and stuff like that. Like, how comfortable are you having conversations with people you don't know? And so I'm like, okay, how long have you been here? They're like, I've been here a month. And so I was like, how about you? 2 months. How about you? 3 months. Okay, I guess I'm down this way on the line. And I found like the next person who had they've been here the longest, and they had been there for 6 months. And then there's me, who's been there for 3.5 years. So it's really funny.
Yep.
So that was my week. It was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah, the only personality test we have in my office is that they will just ask you what Hogwarts house you're in.
That works. I mean, yeah, I guess that doesn't necessarily prescribe to, like, how you work on stuff, but it's more of just, like, personality.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, this one was more of, like, how are you in work environments? Like, how do you work?
Yeah, we just want to know how big of a nerd you are. We had, like, an in-office celebration for Harry Potter's birthday this year with, like, more cupcakes than I think are actually employees. So, like, multiple cupcakes for everyone with, like, plastic rings on them.
15 cupcakes for Gryffindor!
And they had the plastic rings on them with the houses, so I've still got my little Hufflepuff
cool.
ring there on my desk, and, like, we hired a new person. We're like, okay, which house are you in? So now we have a Slytherin on our team, and yeah.
There you go. Well, speaking of nerds, let's be some nerds now. We got a bit off track there. I mentioned this is episode 32. We are talking about a book called Plutona. It is a little graphic novel by Jeff Lemire and Emmy Lennox. I think I first found this book, maybe a year or two ago. Didn't pick it up right away, but eventually did. I read it on Comixology Unlimited, and I loved it. What did you think? Because I pitched it as, it's kind of like Stand By Me in the sense that there's a group of, like, young kids that find a dead body in the woods. And it turns out that dead body is, like, the world's greatest superhero type of thing. So it starts out like Stand By Me, but then goes in a different direction. So yeah, what did you think? What were you expecting?
I think the description was pretty apt. I was expecting a little bit more on, okay, now what do we do about it? Like, do we take up crime fighting? Like, how do we dump her body at the police station? None of us have a car. Can one of us steal a car? Like, I was expecting more, like, adventure stuff. And it's a lot more about, like, the lives of each of these kids and their own personal troubles and how they interact as this, like, makeshift social circle that would not hang out if it wasn't for the fact that all of them were in the woods at the same time.
Yeah. Almost like the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I really liked it. This was a very fun, very fast read.
Yeah. It's only 5 issues. It's just one graphic novel. There is kind of a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end. Maybe we'll talk about that. Yeah. I don't really know what it meant. But yeah, I feel like a good way to describe it is it's a graphic novel you can sit down and read in about an hour or two. It's a great little story, and I think it does a fantastic job of showing you, not telling you.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff just in the art or things that go unsaid that like in the body language of the characters. It's like, you're feeling some type of way. This is like, something is going on here, but we're not mentioning it. And it's not necessarily part of the story, but you understand it's part of the characters and who they are. And I think it's a good example of that. So we kind of did a bit of a plot synopsis just in mentioning what it was, and I guess since it's so short, like, it's not too much that's involved. But yeah, it's a group of kids. They find a dead body in the woods. Turns out to be the body of a superhero, and they're like, yeah, what do we do? And things kind of take a much different turn than I think what people might expect from the, like, Stand By Me thing. As you said, you were more like, oh, I hope they, like, do we take up crime fighting? Because, that's the next logical step. But yeah, it's I like where it went. It's interesting, and it's sad, and it's still fun at the same time.
Yeah, like this story gets kind of dark, but it never gets darker than like is appropriate for the age range of the kids it's writing about. Like there's enough yeah, like there's drama and angst in there, but it always feels like exactly what it's supposed to be and never overblown or overdone or like that seems extreme. So when like a darker thing does happen towards the end of the book, then you're like, oh, this is really juxtaposed against the fairly normal parts earlier.
Yeah. So it's an interesting book for sure. I definitely recommend picking it up.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic one. There's another series called Four Kids Walk Into a Bank. It's another graphic novel that I absolutely love, and I think I read both of that one and this kind of around the same time. Excuse me. And they're both kind of young kids in a situation that's not favorable. They all kind of have like problematic personal lives or family lives and stuff like that. And they're both super short. I think Four Kids Walk Into a Bank is 2 volumes. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, it's just these are like this is the story and that's it. And I would recommend that as well. A while back, I think you and I read something else. Never mind. I think it's Matt Kint. We read what was that underwater murder mystery one? You remember that? Department H. Yeah. That's also a book I think I would recommend if you like this. It's a similar art style, not necessarily as focused around kids. I mean, it's an underwater murder mystery, but same style. I figured I would kind of do the, hey, if you liked this book, you might also check this stuff here at the start, since we didn't have much of a synopsis or stuff to add to that. So I'm gonna toss it to you then. What would you recommend if people liked this book? What else should they check out?
What this reminded me of was Harriet the Spy.
Interesting.
You remember Harriet the Spy?
Yeah. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, I don't remember what happened in any of it, but yeah, I know it.
Well, Harriet makes it her mission to learn everybody's secrets, and so she just goes around her town and she'll like peer in windows, or she'll find that there's like a crawl space in this apartment building and she can look down in a vent, or like she'll just sort of follow her teacher when she sees her teacher out at the market, like stuff like that. And she's got a big notebook and she writes down just all of her observations and everybody's secrets. And like one of her friends is this like 12 or 13-year-old boy who has to take care of his own like kind of deadbeat dad, which is something that's in this story. And also her and her friends do this like secret pact thing where they draw like an ink design on, I think, like the soles of their feet, and they press their bare feet together so like the ink imprint is on somebody else. And there's another thing in this story about like
kind of like that thing that was big in the 90s, the like Blood Brothers, where they would like both cut themselves, and you know.
Yes, that was the safe version of the Blood Brothers, and there's a Blood Brothers kind of thing in this book. So it reminded me of Harriet the Spy, and also, of course,
That's true.
Yeah, plenty of like kids coming up on a otherworldly problem they don't know how to deal with type of stories out there. You got your Stranger Things, your Monster Squad. Oh, so many. But
good call on Stranger Things too. Yeah. I enjoyed this book. Again, we mentioned it's super fast. You can read it, I think, in like an hour and a half ish. Because the art does a lot of the storytelling, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a little bit of housekeeping really fast, and then we can dive into spoilers. So let's see. First things first, I think we are like at 29 subscribers on YouTube. We have a super humble, small amount of followers on YouTube, which is awesome. But we would like more. So if you have not subscribed yet to our channel on iTunes, you can search the Whatnauts podcast and you will find us. A subscribe there would really help, as well as on Twitch here. If you guys are watching this live on Twitch, you guys can join the discussion and talk to us in chat if you guys have been reading along or watching along with us at home. We are at twitch.tv/the Whatnauts, or you can find our live streams at thewhatnauts.com/live streams. More reviews on iTunes would be fantastic. As far as the captain's log goes, I just recorded an episode with Belinda Garcia. She made her return to that show as well. So that should already be up by time this episode goes public for everyone. And speaking of the captain's log, the last little bit of housekeeping is that I think we have a pretty set new recording time, which means I need to update our website and stuff like that. Our new recording time is going to be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Melissa, for you in Central Time, I guess that's 8 p.m.?
Yes, 8 o'clock.
There we go. I've kind of always wanted the Captain's Log show to be like anyone here at the Whatnauts can just come and hang out on the show and unwind at the end of the week and have fun, just chit. I cannot speak today at all. I don't know what is up with me. I'm just really excited to talk about this book. But yeah, I just wanted that to be a show that everyone can come and have some fun. And our previous recording time wasn't really letting that happen. It was like, it was end of the day for me, but for everyone on the West Coast, it was like middle of the day, 2:30 in the afternoon. So that was not working out for them. So for the Captain's Log, which is one of our other podcasts, that will be starting to record at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully more of us can join in on that. But that's all I have for housekeeping right now, which means your like spoiler alert chance for Plutona is ending now. Where do you want to start, Melissa?
Let's start with the kids themselves.
Okay.
I was really impressed with this cast of kids.
Who was your favorite?
My favorite was Diane.
Diane, okay. Diane is fantastic.
Yeah, I really liked seeing another chubby blonde girl like me.
Yeah.
And I love that she had this like goth punk aesthetic, but it was like visual only. Like she didn't act like a punk. She's
not
sweetheart.
Hardcore down in her soul.
No, she just likes the way spikes and skulls and things look. And that's not something you see very often. So I liked that. And I also liked that, like, her best friend, Me, keeps, like, ignoring her. But you see that...
So you pronounced it Me. I pronounced it My.
Okay.
That's how I say it. I don't know the correct one.
You might be correct. But... I don't know. I should have looked it up.
Oh, me, oh, my. Yeah, so I my favorite character was My. And she has the aesthetic that I like, the beanies and the oversized hoodies, and it's cool. Those two characters kind of butt heads and go through a rough patch there, which makes me think that Diane's kind of punk aesthetic isn't actually hers. I think she's trying to impress Mai.
I'd believe that, yeah.
But I mean, I think Diane looked perfectly fine in it. She could pull it off if she wanted. She was, I think, the tallest of them too. Yeah. So she's taller. She's a little bit bigger, and with the like punk jacket with the spikes, it's like, okay, don't want to mess with her. Like she's gonna crush my skull and be totally fine about it.
I also really like this one small moment where like she's waiting on Mai to like walk home from school with her, and Mai's been like kind of ignoring her and just putting her on the back burner and doing other things, so Mai never comes. But these other girls walk past and they're like, Diane, do you want to come walk with us? And she's like, oh no, I'm waiting for Mai. And I really liked that it showed that she's not an outcast, because I feel like in so many other like older stories, like things we might have grown up with, like fat kids and punks are the outsiders. And here's a
Yeah.
girl that's both. She's like very tall for her age, she's wide for her age, she's got this very strong fashion aesthetic that none of the other kids in the school have. And I feel like that used to be something that would make her weird, and now it's like, no, she's just as, popular as any other kid is. And so I really,
Yeah.
it's like one panel, but I really liked seeing it. It felt like such a positive step forward.
There you go. So you liked Diane.
Mm-hmm.
What was her? I forget. I'm trying to go through each kid's like home situation. What was hers like? Was hers more of the like it's just a normal home?
Yeah, she's got like a mom that's pretty nice. I think we see her dad in one panel, and she's got a new puppy named Loki.
So she's also a nerd. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so she's the one that has a seemingly normal home. Mai was the one that she had a younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she's Asian as well. I don't know exactly of
Mm-hmm.
what denomination, or I guess that's not the right word. But
yeah.
yeah. You guys get what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, like I knew some like I had some friends growing up that were kind of in the same situation. Like I think we only saw my mom.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a single mother kind of thing raising two kids.
Mm-hmm.
But my friends growing up, they had a stay-at-home mom, and their dad worked all the time, so we never saw him.
Yeah, could be that.
And so I mean, it could be that too. But it was just like, well, you're the oldest one, you need to take care of your siblings and stuff like that. And I would be at their house being like the awkward, well, okay, I'm just gonna sip my water here, while you guys get in a fight or do something, or your mom is making you do some kind of chores or something,
that's always the worst.
But yeah, there was that. There was I guess the main character. Would you call him the main character? What was his name again? It's not Tugger.
Oh, it's Teddy.
But that was his nickname.
I want to save him. Can we actually do Ray and then do Teddy?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
Because like I've got a lot to say about Teddy, and I'd like Ray will be shorter. Let's just put him first. Ray is the one who has this like deadbeat dad. Like his mom ran off, and his dad's an alcoholic who can't hold down a job, and we never see his dad off the couch. Like he's just on the couch watching TV or dead asleep and like surrounded by beers, and he smokes, and like Ray keeps stealing his cigarettes, and then he shares some with Mai, and like Diane's very upset about it.
Yeah, that's the one. I think that's the first moment when we're introduced to Ray's like family life. That's the first like, oh wow, there's gonna be some emotional stuff here, because it's a page with I think there's like 5 panels, and it's each of them like, hey, it's time to wake up, like don't forget your backpack, it's ready to go to school, turn your alarm off, and then there's his, where instead of the parents waking them up or reminding them, hey, don't be late for school, here's your food, it's him being like, Dad, wake the fuck up, you're gonna be late for your job. And so it's like, oh, okay, that it's just that one panel, but it's such a reversal of everything else that we've gotten on that page that it hits.
Yeah, and it's like this very, I don't want to call it classic, but I feel like it's something I've seen before, of like all the other kids at school think this is the bad kid, whereas at home he's like the actual one holding everything together, and he like lashes out at other kids because he's insecure about his own life. Like it's a familiar thing, but it didn't feel like old or it didn't feel stale in this book.
Yeah, because I think, again, with this book being as short as it is, they say enough for you to understand what's happening. We know you've seen a million movies with this kind of stereotype and stuff like that. So if we just put this one panel in, your imagination can go.
You know this. You can fill in the blanks.
Yeah, which I think that's fantastic. Where do you fall? Would you prefer a book to give you all of the details and explain everything, or do you actually want more to your imagination?
I think I just
want... in general.
If there are questions, I want them to be like specific questions, like, you know, this dad is out of the picture. Why? Instead of just like, is there a dad here or not? Like, I can't tell. Like, I want there to be like a specific, if there's something left open-ended, I want to know very deliberately, this is a thing we are leaving open-ended, not just like, I can't quite tell like what's going on. Is this missing for a reason? Is this just like, oh, we didn't get to that? You know?
Okay, so if you're not sure if it's plot relevant or if it could.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because like I guess again in this book, like we didn't see Mai's dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's one of the things. Like, why isn't he there? Is he at work? Is he alive? What's the deal there? But it's not plot relevant, really. So I mean that's something that I don't mind that they don't answer. And I think each kid has their own stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I wanted to save Teddy for last because I was so intrigued by his family situation, and this is one of those things where I'm like, is this deliberately mysterious, or did this just not come up? Like, in one of the days where they're at school and like everybody's leaving, Teddy says something like, oh, my mom and dad are gonna be home soon. And then we go home and we just see his dad and we don't see his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, did you like forget that you said earlier in the book, oh, mom and dad?
Did you forget you didn't have a mom?
No, I mean, like, did the writers just like change their minds about like if he lived in a 2-parent household, a single family household? Was there some bit about like, oh, mom has to work late, mom's over at grandma's that didn't get put in there? Like, I just thought it was odd that he mentioned my mom and dad will be home soon, and then we go home and it's just the shot of him and his dad sitting eating at the table, and there's the two of them, and there's 2 place settings, but there's 3 chairs, and the 3rd chair is empty. And we see there's like a picture of him as like a little baby with his mom in the background on the wall. And I'm like, is she dead? If she was dead, why would he just openly say to his friends, yeah, my mom and dad will be home soon?
How often do we see him back at his house after that?
I think we see him there a couple times. Like, I know towards the end of the book, like, I guess he's been sick. Like, while he's been, like, dealing with this Plutona stuff, I got the impression that, like, he told his dad, I'm sick, and his dad's like, okay, I'll call you in from school. You don't have to go to school. Because his dad
This is my imagination running here. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go for
what
it.
If, what if his parents are divorced and it's more towards the weekend or something, and it's like, oh, my mom is here to pick me up, like she's gonna be the one to come pick me up, and I stay with her this weekend, and that's why like both my mom and dad will be home this afternoon or something, because I think this book takes place over a week or so, or at least a couple days. It's most of what we see is during a school day, I believe. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be something.
I don't know if they're divorced. There's the thing about there being 3 chairs and one of the chairs is empty and she's not there, but there's a picture of her in the background.
It's so sad.
Yeah, I'm like, is she dead? And like they don't talk about it? Like, is this not like a public thing that he tells people and he just keeps acting like everything's normal? You know, like coming home from what? Does she work? Is she sick? Is she at like a clinic or something? Like, there was something going on and I couldn't figure out exactly what it was.
Yeah. There's a video game called Heavy Rain has a scene kind of like that.
Oh.
And the game starts out and it's fairly routine. It's I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's a very
I know what
different
you're talking
game.
about. It's like a guy loses his kid, and then he's afraid he's gonna lose the other kid, but like he might be hallucinating.
Basically.
He doesn't know if his other kid actually ran off or if he's like losing it. That's it, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So it just in this thing, yeah, like the game starts and you're this character who leads this very, very normal life. You're just kind of going through routine things, and then this certain event happens, and it shatters this character's world. And they're like, one of the next scenes immediately after that is the father and one of his kids at home after the wife has left him, and like the kid is just watching TV. The dad like doesn't know how to talk to the kid. Their house, like it's just a shitty house. He's like, I made dinner, and he puts chicken nuggets in the microwave, and then you have to sit there and eat. Like the game like makes you eat, and you don't say anything for like 3 minutes. You just sit there eating chicken nuggets with this kid in silence. And it's just like that. It's so.
That's rough.
Yeah. So.
Back to Teddy, like the way his dad is very sweet to him, and when his dad comes in, he's like, "Hey, if you're still feeling under the weather, like I can call in school. You can take another day off. It's all right." Like his dad's so sweet to him. It did make me kind of wonder if the mom was dead, and that like the kid needing personal, just like, I just can't be at school today time was like something the dad was used to. Like, you know, it takes Teddy a while to deal with things, you know, even if it's just a cold. Like, if he needs an extra day for the cold, give him the extra day for the cold. Like, do not overexert this kid. He's been through enough.
Yeah, I mean, it might even be something like they are just starting to go through the divorce stuff, where like it's not even official, and the mom was just like, I need to get out of here, you know?
Yeah.
He doesn't maybe fully understand it yet, and that's maybe, I guess we're already in spoiler alert, but that's why he's lashing out. Like, he doesn't understand what's happening at his home, and he wants to fix things, and I guess since he's a big superhero nerd, maybe he thinks, hey, if I get superpowers, I can fix things.
Oh, that's so sad. There's just so much about Teddy. Like, okay, his nickname from Ray and Ray alone. Like, nobody else calls him this. Yeah, they call him Tucker.
Which, I mean, we only see Ray call him that, but it seems like it's a pretty well-known
or like
nickname.
Everybody used to call him that a couple years ago, and they all
for a
like
week,
got over
right after it happened.
Yeah, and they all got over the joke, but Ray is still like holding on to it hard.
He's like,
which
you're
is an
the kid that got caught jerking off.
Considering, you know, why they call him that.
Yeah. So it's a funny nickname.
Yeah. I'm glad. Like, the first time he calls him Tugger, I'm like, oh, that's a masturbation joke, right? Is that it? And
yeah.
Like,
score. I was right.
Like, good. Okay. I nailed what that innuendo is. I was just glad I guessed right, and it wasn't. I would feel bad if I was like, oh, they call him that because they caught him jerking off once, and it's like, oh no, he like lost a tug of war game once and fell in the mud, and I'm like, oh dang it. It's just like putting too much on just this innocent like 14-year-old boy.
No, I mean, it's a 14-year-old boy. What do you think he's gonna be tugging?
So when that plot element is first introduced, I was like, okay, you know, that's like a kid thing. That's a preteen thing to do. But it came up so much after that. I'm like, do I need to be thinking about this more? Are there like weird like psychosexual implications that I need to be aware of? Like how much is this a dramatic thing, and how much of it is just like world building? Oh, these are like, you know, antics these kids have gotten up to in the past.
I chalk it up to just world building. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think there's much like psychoanalysis that needs to be done there. I mean, because they're at that age where that's what kids do.
Mm-hmm.
They bully one another.
Yeah.
And it like it's not only him, but we see Diane get bullied
Yeah.
too. Ray is the one that keeps calling her chubby,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I mean, I guess he's the one that is calling them all these different like mean nicknames and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And it, like I don't feel like it was necessarily important for us to explore that stuff per
Yeah.
se, but it was just like, okay, that kid, you know, did something happened back in the day. We understand that there's
Mm-hmm.
history here,
Yeah.
which I think makes people always mention Star Wars like the world felt lived in. There was like
Yeah.
battle scar, like not everything was new and shiny, you know. Like it in an odd way, it's kind of like that for this too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's history
Yeah.
here, and I'm interested to know some more of their adventures and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this is just like, hey, remember that one time when we found a dead body in the woods? So
Yeah. Like one thing I would like to see from these kids past is like how has Diane and Mai's friendship been in the past? Because I was really curious if because Mai's kind of like taking advantage of her and just like not always treating her like an equal. Like Diane comes to school in this like cool leather jacket that she like put the studs on. And Mai's like, cool, can I try it on? And Diane's like, yeah. And she's like, awesome. Can I like
I'm gonna keep
borrow?
it.
Yeah, she's like, can I borrow this? And Diane's like, okay, you can have it till lunch. And then she's still got it like the rest of the day. And eventually she gives it back, but she's like, you got to
She's
admit, I look
reluctant
better
to give
in
it
it.
back.
Yeah. And just like kind of ignoring her. And I wasn't sure. I wanted to know if like it had always been like that. Like, you know, those friends that like, you're not really friends. You just live close to each
You
other.
think
And it's
they're
like,
really cool, and you just want to,
yeah.
you want to be friends with them,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Or it's like,
I also got the, I guess the subtext there is that possibly Diane is gay or at least bisexual.
mm-hmm.
And so that's how I read that. Like she likes Mai, you know, and so she wants to
Yeah.
impress her. That's why when she, you know, it's like, hey, can I borrow it? She's like, yeah, sure. She's hesitant because she's like, well, if I wear it, maybe I'll look good for her. But I mean, she looks good in it too, you know. So just till lunch, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that's not as obvious
Mm-hmm.
to the kids at that age,
Yeah.
which is why she's not made fun of it for it. Like, why are you always hanging around Mai? Why are you always, you know, wanting to impress her?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like the very, very obvious target is her weight.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, yeah. I mean, it's something that was like, okay, this is something. This is one of the many things in this comic that's happening underneath the surface, and they're not talking about it. We've gotten
Yeah.
enough to be like, that's probably what's happening, but we're not entirely sure.
Yeah. Like I liked that kind of gray area in Diane and Mai's relationship. Like, do you have a crush on her, or are you just disappointed because this is your friend? This is your best friend, and now she's made a new friend that you think is going to be a bad influence on her, and you're just like lonely
yeah.
and concerned.
It could be that too. Like you guys were childhood
Yeah.
friends, and you're starting to grow up and realize you like different things, you know? And it's
Yeah.
just like, well, I'm gonna go off this way, and you're gonna go off that way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what happens.
And if like Mai has always been sort of like putting herself first, or if that's something that's happened just as she's getting older and more hormonal, and like maybe other things in her life are stressing her out, like maybe she's just become more self-centered after maybe her parents got divorced, like we don't know. And
Yeah.
I do like how rich these kids are, Like, we have not talked about the superhero aspect of this story yet at all, because there's just so much to do with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of funny because I think that's kind of why you picked it too. When I mentioned like dead body, but it's a superhero. You're like, we haven't done some superhero stuff, and I was like, well, it's not really superhero stuff, but
like superheroes just like
they happen to exist in that world.
Yeah, I love like the term cape spotting. Like Teddy's really into cape spotting. Like he's just tracking like, okay, Dr. Bion fought this guy at this night, and then, the silhouette was seen over here. Like this record keeping
the Minotaur.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite one.
Minotaur.
He's like he's describing them all, and then he's like, and then there's the Minotaur, who's just a mini bull. That's
Can't do anything.
That's the only description.
I loved like the level of superhero-dom that was in this story. Like, not like the percentage that it appeared in the actual narrative, but just like where it sits within this world at this time. So I think superheroes, I think they've said, have been around for like a decade at this point. Like one of the kids mentioned like, 10 years ago, my mom said superheroes were impossible. And they're big enough that there's like charity concerts and like they are the honored guests at like the fall gala. But also they're still mysterious enough. There's people out there like tracking them like, I think this person was seen over here, but I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to somebody who lives over there and get a firsthand account. Like they're so, like they're being tracked, like they're being put on merchandise. Like Teddy's got posters for them and, in his bedroom. Like they're that big, but there's also this mysterious level of, we don't know everything that they're doing. Like we still rely so much on rumors. Like they are established figures within the community. They are trusted, but there's also all of this hearsay and all of this conjecture around them. And every little detail you have to just fill in yourself based on things you've heard from other people. And I really liked that combination, that they're not like these mysterious figures or these like really familiar people where it's like, oh yes, it's 3:00. We know 3:00 every week. We can go see, Fire Guy shake hands down at the local park. It's between those.
Very much like a golden age style of superhero. It's not. I was gonna say it's not modern. But I think especially with the amount of communication that's happening around it, because it seems like it's in modern times. They have cell phones, they're texting and stuff like that. But I mean, you know how fast stuff spreads on on Twitter or on Facebook and stuff like that. So yeah, like there's so few of them. Like there's enough to have taken note and for companies to be like, hey, can we make money off of them? Can we do something here? But there's still, there's like this fog around them still. There's mystery. There's also this air of like science, like mad science around them. That I get, maybe that's just me, of the like naming conventions and the I guess like style of comic. I guess not but like, so within this comic we get these like shorter mini stories of the family of Plutona, who is the superhero that the kids find in the woods. And it's like, this is what actually happened to her. This was her last day, and we get to see her family and like, oh, my mom is off fighting the white moth. I hope she's okay. But it seems very much like this golden age, like science still prevails,
Yeah, like I think they mentioned like Plutona was the only person with actual powers. Like it seemed like she was the one Thor in a world of like Ant-Man and Iron Man. Like everybody else just figured out how to be super, but she had this like something bestowed upon her, and it seemed like it was something generational. Like her daughter was going to get it after her, and I guess she got it from her mother, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, so she's something real. She's something otherworldly even. Like, we don't know, and I didn't get the impression that she even knew that much about where it came from, just that it runs through the family and I am beholden to use it. It's like when the Plutona signal goes up, I have to be there because I know like the last bastion is me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
go ahead.
No, just like, and that's why Teddy's so fascinated with her. Like, that's why he does that like blood thing, which is so creepy.
Maybe it's in her blood.
Yeah.
If I put her blood inside me,
we'll just
I'll
cut
get her powers.
Cut our fingertips and press them together, which was like just dark enough. I'm glad he wasn't like, well, I vivisected and autopsied her, and this is what I found out. He's just like,
well, I've hung her upside down, and I'm draining her blood out of her neck, and I'm about to take a bath in it. And,
Yeah, like I said earlier, like I feel like it gets just dark enough that like that's the perfect like escalation of that like little kid, like we're blood brothers now. Like it's just far enough above that to be like, oh, that's chilling, but also you're not like, whoa, okay, that's too much. It only gets to be too much when like he gets stabbed, and even that, it's just like an accident. Like they're just.
I would say before that, because he gets caught. I think doing that by Mai's younger brother, and I guess he kind of takes advantage of that and is like, hey, do you want superpowers too? Like that's what I'm trying to do here. Like. Good, clean, innocent fun. Like it will work. I promise. You know. And he's young enough, and he's into video games and stuff like that. So they might be into the same type of thing. So I'm sure he's young enough to just be like, superpowers, cool, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, I'm sure like he doesn't fully understand what's happening. It is a surprisingly dark turn that the book takes.
Yeah, like I was not expecting one of these kids to die by the end of the story, especially not like, oh, like we were just arguing and you accidentally got stabbed, and then like Diane just wanted to kind of knock you out of the way, and then she accidentally hit like too hard. Like that's the worst. Like for him to like die, if this had been an adventure story, for him to die fighting crime is one thing. For him to like think he can fly and he jumps off a ledge, that's one thing. But like to have it at the hands of his peers by accident is like the most upsetting version of this kid is dead.
Yeah, and right as he finds out that Plutona's not actually dead, she was kind of just paralyzed and stunned.
Yeah.
And for like a day and a half, 2 days, however long she's been there. And she just takes off, and like his version of what a superhero should be is like instilled in her, and he just sees her leave.
Yeah.
Which, again, going back to an earlier theory on Teddy's home life, maybe that's kind of a similar thing. Like he just saw his mom leave, his own like personal superhero leave, and now he sees it like an actual superhero just leave him there, and he's like, that's not how it's supposed to happen. Like that's, you know. And then he just, I guess he lost so much blood that, you know, he passes out, and that's it.
Yeah.
Can't wake up again.
No, it was so sad. And it was like, I guess my own childlike innocence that after you find out, like, oh, Plutona's just been stunned for a couple days, she's gonna wake back up. So I'm like, oh, good. Plutona will wake up and she will set these kids right. No. She's like, what am I doing here? What are you doing here? You kids go home, I'm out. Like, she just freaks out and just flies away. Like, she doesn't try and, like, you know, are you kids safe? That kid looks injured. Let me escort you to the local hospital. Can we call your parents or a police officer?
Good citizen, are you in need of assistance?
No, she's just gone. And she was talking earlier about like she has a day job. She's like a waitress
Yeah.
as a day job, and she comes home after this like double shift, and she's glad to like finally see her daughter before her daughter goes to bed, and then the Plutona signal goes off and she leaves, but she's thinking like, am I putting this ahead of being a good mother? Do I need to be at home? Do I need to make that the priority? And she's in this situation where there are these kids who do need her, like, to be kind of like the motherly figure that maybe they don't have around, and she like doesn't see it. It's not like she sees it and chooses not to take it. Like, she doesn't see it at all. She
Yeah.
doesn't see these kids as like children who might need a little nurturing and help. She's like, who are you? These are strangers. Goodbye.
Why am I in the woods surrounded by strange children?
Yeah. And
yeah, it's an interesting thing. If if you were Plutona, what do you think you would have done? Because I mean, that is like, I don't necessarily blame her though for in the moment like doing what she did. I mean, sure, she probably should have helped the children because they're only just children, but at the same time, that's kind of what children do. They go hang out in the woods, they play cops and robbers, who knows what, She might not know, like, I don't think she really understood what was happening because she just woke up from a hit that had knocked her out for 3 or 4 days. So I don't, she might not be thinking straight. Her mind might not be there. I've woken up from a nap and I'm groggy and I don't know where the hell I am. I can't imagine what is going on in her mind. But I think I might have done the same thing. I'm just like, I just need to get out of here.
I think I would have at least asked, okay, like, who are you? Like, what are your names? Are your parents around here? And at least been like, okay, kids, we are walking together to the street outside of the woods. You guys go find your parents. I have business to attend to, because she's fighting this big villain who stuns her. And like the villain says, now let's see how much havoc I can wreak while Plutona is gone. So I'm really curious, like, what did the White Moth get up to? Like, is there like serious chaos like deeper into the city that like these kids don't know about? Because it doesn't seem like the city's in danger. Like, it doesn't have that overarching like kind of tension to the town or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's not like all the parents are talking in like hushed whispers like, did you hear that building got destroyed? But like, is there something like that out there? Like, what's that villain doing now?
Yeah. It's one of those things. Again, I'd love to see more of this book. I would love to see a volume 2. Mm-hmm. How do the children deal with now the death of Teddy?
Yes.
What happens to Mai's younger brother? Does he have powers or not? What do you think? Let's talk about the end of the book. That last page. I think it's 3 panels, and I don't remember her younger brother's name. Mike.
Yeah.
So Mai and Mike are sleeping in the same bed. This is that night after like Teddy just died. So they're all still like, what the hell just happened? So I'm sure he's scared, but there's like, it continually zooms in on him so that we see a fly on the bed, and then a fly goes on to Mike's hand. And that's it. That's the end of the book. What does that mean?
I think maybe... I thought it was a fly too, but then after the fact, I'm thinking, was that like a moth? Was there enough of that, like... I think it was the White Moth. It was some sort of bug villain for sure. Like, the White Moth, like, gave Plutona that, like, stunning ray mist. I forget what form the stunning took. But maybe that was something like...
came in the form of science!
Yes! Science! Maybe that's, like... That was so pervasive in her body that, like, if you took the blood from her while she was knocked out, like, you're not getting Plutona. You're getting...
some kind of radiation from
you're getting
White
that
Moth.
mad science. So maybe her brother doesn't have Plutona powers. He's got, like, weird White Moth powers.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be interesting. I thought of something similar to that as well. I thought of like, what if something then got into Plutona's bloodstream and affected her, and that's what paralyzed her.
Yeah.
And so now these kids have this like paralyzing agent in there. Because if a fly lands on me, first thing I'm gonna do is like, ugh,
Yeah.
Get off of me. But he just lays there completely still. So I was like, I kind of wonder if he's paralyzed.
Or he's just like
he's finally gotten enough in him where, yeah, he's moving really slowly or something. I don't know. Like, it's kind of creepy to think about.
I thought he was just like traumatized. Like, there's a bug around me, I don't even care. Or if he's like, he's a scared little boy. He crawled into bed with his big sister. He's like, oh, I don't want to move. I don't want to wake her up. Like, or he sees the bug and he's like, this is my kindred spirit now. Me and this bug are friends now.
I am one with the bug.
You will be my familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we can't really talk about what happens after that because we don't know. We didn't get that in the book, and I don't think there's going to be any more Plutona. It's been a couple of years, I think, since this came out. I think it's just a one-off story.
No, I need more.
Yeah. That said, Jeff Lemire does have his own kind of superhero universe. Kind of. He has a couple of comics that he's written and done the art for called Black Hammer. I actually haven't read them yet. I've heard good things. That'd be something worth checking out here on this show.
Yeah.
At some point eventually.
I didn't recognize him by name, but I was reading like the bio at the back of the comic. I'm like, oh, I've heard of a lot of these titles at least.
Yeah, he's done stuff like Sweet Tooth and what else has he done recently? There was one called Descender, I believe.
I think you recommended that one to me. I think there were a couple of those that I remember telling me
When
about.
we read Department H, I brought him up because it's a very similar artwork style to his artwork. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I enjoyed this book a lot.
Yeah.
I think this would also translate really well to a movie.
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of like Stranger Things, Stand By Me type of
like
vibe.
Super 8 or...
Yeah, and then mix in a little bit of like retro golden age superheroes into it in the background.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. This is one of those things. It's like I feel like it also could have gone on a lot longer.
Yeah.
Like this could have been like 12 to 18 issues, and they dived more into the behind the scenes of who these characters are, what their families are like, more so why Teddy is doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really get the why exactly.
Yeah.
We might get a little bits and pieces, and maybe we can infer some things, but we don't necessarily know his motive exactly.
Yeah.
Just besides, hey, I like superheroes. Maybe if I put her blood inside me, I can be a superhero too.
And like one thing about Teddy, like I just realized, is that he's so involved in this cape spotting community. Like it's not like just his father and his classmates and maybe like extended family and neighbors are gonna realize he's missing. Like his online community might notice, oh, this person hasn't posted in a long time. What happened to them? And if this community is so involved in like tracking all the superhero and supervillain nonsense, there may be some level of somebody got to him. He found out something that nobody wanted him to know. So maybe there'd be like some other community member, some conspiracy theorist out there like digging into this mystery that these kids are going to wander into like out in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. If you had one thing that you would like to see explored more in this book, what would that be?
Oh. I really want to know what the White Moth villain was doing during these couple days. Like, what happened in the city, like, that
The
Plutona could not
ramifications
answer.
of her being
Yeah,
out.
like, I
Okay.
love these kids and their personal lives, and I want to learn about, like, their parents and their histories and all that, but that, like, big blank spot of what's the superhero community doing while Plutona's not there? Like, I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what that is.
That makes sense. I kind of don't want to know that. I think that's one of the strengths of this book is that we don't see that stuff. It only focuses on these children. And I kind of want to see the ramifications of Teddy dying.
Yes.
Like, what do they all go to the funeral? What happens with that? Like, does the school react somehow to this? Do they? I mean, maybe it gets out then that Plutona was hurt real bad or something. But yeah, like that to me, I think was the one, like, I felt I don't know, like maybe it would have ended the book on a more sour note than it kind of already was. Or I guess a more sad note when you actually then have to reflect on what just happened, whereas it happens and the book is done.
Yeah.
And you're kind of left to your own imagination. But that, yeah, like I think because we see so much about these kids and their personalities and who they are and what they think, that it's like I kind of want to know what happens. Like, what do they think about this?
Yeah. And like, I don't want to see, oh, now that Plutona is gone, White Moth has, like, robbed a bank. I want to see how whatever destruction happens in the city, like, ripples out to these kids. Like, maybe wherever Diane's dad works, that building was destroyed, and now all of a sudden her dad's out of a job. What if there's, like, some toxic chemical spill in the water, and, like, that gets out to their neighborhood? What if, like, school's called off for the day, because... well, the air is filled with ash after this giant building was lit on fire. Like, the way the big supervillain things will ripple out to the kids. And that little neighborhood is really what I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be good. But again, it's... this book does such a good job of, like, leaving all of these gray areas in the book that get you interested and make you like the characters and make you want more, but at the same time it doesn't really tell you exactly what's happening. So I like that a lot. Was there anything you didn't like about the book?
And nothing really strongly comes to mind. Yeah, like, nothing like really sticks out at me. Did you have something that just, like, jabbed out at you?
I was thinking about this a little bit this morning. And I mean this in the best way, but I see how it can kind of maybe not sound the greatest. I felt like this was more of an experiment rather than like, hey, I have a specific story to tell. And of course there's nothing wrong with experimenting. Like, hey, I have this idea, I don't know exactly how it's gonna play out. Let's just do like a 5-issue comic book about this thing and see, and see what works and what doesn't work. And I don't think I really thought about that until this morning, of just like, this is from a comic book writer that usually does a little bit longer, more involved stories. So seeing this kind of one-off, very short graphic novel is not really their MO, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I could be completely wrong. And it was just like, hey, I have this one story to tell. Here's what happens. We can do it in 5, and that's it. But it was just one of those things that there was so much that wasn't explored. As much as I like that, there was so much that wasn't explored. It was like, what if we just try this one thing? How did that work? Okay, cool. We'll move on to something else now.
Yeah, like it is almost too open-ended for it to like just be out there as this one graphic novel.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's not a bad thing per se, but I at the same time I'm just like I don't like at least another issue or two, to kind of wrap things up, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that I think is just me just really nitpicking at this, because I loved it overall.
Yeah, like my only thing is also very nitpicky, which is that the Plutona flashbacks are in a different art style than the rest of the book.
That art is all Jeff Lemire's art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it was different, but I couldn't quite tell, okay, why is it this style and not the style of the rest of the book, besides just the fact, I should draw these flashbacks differently. Like, it's not like it looked like classic superhero art. Like, it didn't. I couldn't tell exactly why it was what it was and not anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to kind of differentiate itself. Hey, we're not focusing on the children in this next page or two. We're just gonna separate it out, so you know that the scene is changing, the time is changing, stuff like that. Because I mean, I've read some comics where it doesn't do that, doesn't change the art style. It doesn't really tell you what time of day it is, and it's just like, oh wait, is this a new character? What's happening here? But it's that clear delineation of like, hey, we've now changed it to like, okay, something else is happening here. How does this factor in?
Yeah, and like, there's nothing wrong with the art, and like, I understand it's there to like differentiate from the main storyline, but I couldn't, like, there was nothing special about it except for the fact that it was different than the main storyline art, and I would have liked it to have been a little bit more like I said, like, it's not like I was expecting, maybe it'll look like a classic old superhero comic, because it is so much more like bombastic and like classically super heroic than the rest of the comic is. Yeah. So I was expecting something like that, and instead it's just like different. Like, it's not different in like a particular way or style I can like really grab onto and understand. It's just different.
Yeah. So I guess maybe you're looking for something more cohesive then?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. Well, yeah. There we go. I think that's kind of all I have to say on this book.
Yeah.
There's not much to it. We did our kind of recommendations. I guess I also mentioned Black Hammer in this as well. So go check that out if you liked this book. That would be an interesting read. Do you want to move on to pitching for this next week, or do you have some last final thoughts that you wanted to share?
No, I just really enjoyed this book. Like, that final, like I said, it is a nitpick. It's like a very minor thing that slightly bugged me. Like, the story on the whole is really interesting, and like I said, it's such a fast read. Like, I blocked out like way more time into my weekend to read this than I needed, so it was a really pleasant surprise. Like, I'm already done. I could almost go back and read this thing again, and I almost want to. There is just so much stuff going on.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. So it is your turn to pitch some stuff for this next week of what we will be talking about.
Yes. Give me just 2 seconds just to double check, like, release years.
Yeah, that's A-okay. I guess I don't really have any other housekeeping and stuff like that. We have some people in the chat right now, which is always fantastic. Let's see, who was this? This was Malrogi 101 says, "Oh my god, definitely a great book. Personally, I loved it." So yeah, good book. Go check out Plutona. All of that stuff. We also just kind of wrapped up all our horror episodes.
Yeah.
I think once I get off of this live stream, our episode on An American Werewolf in London should be going up on our website shortly after that. I'm going to be putting that up. And I think that was our last horror one. We did 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, like I did 4 like pitches in a row that were all like Halloween themed. So that ended up being Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, King Falls AM, and An American Werewolf in London, which are all various levels and types of eeriness for you.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
All right, now all my pitches are ready.
Sweet.
Hot out the oven. Yes. Okay. I've got a theme this week.
Okay.
This has been a transformative year in my life in that I have gone from a girl with a job to being a company woman.
Okay.
So I have 3 pitches all about working in an office.
Interesting. Okay.
Which started at, pitch number 1 is, of course, you could probably guess, the movie Office Space.
Yes,
which was
fucking great movie.
Yes. It's a 1999 film directed by Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill, which according to Wikipedia, their little tagline is, it satirizes the everyday work life of a typical mid to late 1990s software company, focusing on a handful of individuals fed up with their jobs and just being really protective about their staplers. This is a movie I saw when I was like 13 or 14 years old, because like I was aware of it being like a cult classic comedy. So I'm like, I want to know what it is. I want to know what people are talking about. And I think it was like it's an R-rated film, and I was like just at that age where I'm like, can I watch an R-rated movie? So I think I deliberately like borrowed the DVD from my friend in secret and like watched it some night when like my dad had like after work plans and my mom was at her job. I'm like, okay, nobody will walk in on me watching what I think is a fairly tame movie just with some curse words in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so I've seen this movie before, but like I'm a completely different person now, and I've really been wanting to watch this movie as an office person, now as an adult.
Okay. That's pitch number 1. That's it is a fantastic film.
Mm-hmm. And pitch number 2 is the British series of The Office.
Okay. I haven't seen any of that.
Same. Like, I'm pretty familiar with the American Office, but I don't know anything about the British version. I've never seen it. This started in 2001. It was created, written, and directed by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. The program is about the day-to-day lives of office employees in the Slough branch of the fictional Wernham Hogue Paper Company. It's basically the same framework that the American Office has.
It's the exact same thing.
Just with, I think, some of like the minor supporting characters got like changed around. And this is on Netflix. It had 2 series, as they call them in Britain, that are both 6 episodes long. And then there were 2 like hour-long Christmas specials that I will leave up to you. If you don't want to watch Christmas specials this early, if it's still too early to break out a Christmas special for you, we can just do the straight, like, TV episodes, or we can do all, like, 14 episodes with the Christmas episodes included.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And pitch
number 3.
I went out and I Googled me an anime I'd never heard about before, Kyle.
Okay.
Because I know Japan...
Anime is about working in an office.
Yeah, I literally just Googled office anime, and I did find, like, this YouTube video that is an opening credit scene to The American Office done in the style of the Neon... Yeah, done in, like, Neon Genesis Evangelion style, and God. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen, so I'm so happy I chose, like, the specific phrase office anime and not, like, work-life anime, because otherwise I would not have found this thing.
Okay.
Anyway, I know Japan is like such a workaholic culture. Like it's full of just salary people. So I wanted their view on an office story. So I just found a list of work life anime. And the star out of that list is a show from this year, I think. I think it's a new 2018 show. And it's called Watakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku. And the description of this one is, Narumi Momose has had it rough. Every boyfriend she's had dumped her once they found out she was an otaku, so she's gone to great lengths to hide it. When a chance meeting at her new job with childhood friend and fellow otaku and now fellow co-worker, Hirotaku Nifuji, almost gets her secret outed at work, she comes up with a plan to make sure he never speaks up. But he comes up with a counter-proposal. Why doesn't she just date him instead? And then it ends with this weird tagline, in love there are no save points.
What? Okay.
Even though I don't think it's about video games.
I mean, well, you can, if you're an otaku, it means you like
you
staying in your room and watching anime and playing video games.
Yep, and that is just an 11-episode season 1, and that is on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Sounds good. So we have Office Space, the British version of The Office, and I don't remember what the title of...
Watakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku.
Love is Hard for Otaku. I think I might go with that last one just because of how ridiculous it sounds.
Yeah, I'd never heard about this thing, and it does sound like such a weird mix of things, just to be like a nerdy romantic comedy set in a Japanese office.
That'll be an interesting one, though. I do have to say, if you have not seen the movie Office Space, go watch that, because it is 100% amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it just on my own time now.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Say the title of that thing once again. It's like, what? How do you spell it?
It's Wotakoi, Watakoi.
Okay.
Love is Hard for Otaku.
Love is Hard for Otaku. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds good. That's what we will be talking about this next week. How many episodes is it?
It's 11 episodes, so it should be a pretty quick watch. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good to me then.
And like everything I saw about it, just like on like the anime watch list website, was like very highly rated. Like this didn't seem to be like a well-known show, but the people who had watched it really liked it.
Interesting. Sounds good. Well, that's what we'll do for this next week. My name is Kyle Springer. You can find me on Twitter at YoKyleSpringer, as well as on Instagram. There, if you guys want to say hi or something. Melissa, where can they find you?
You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit, WilkyWit.
And if you guys want updates for the Whatnauts shows that we do, you can follow us on Twitter at the Whatnauts. I believe that is it. Thank you guys for checking out the live stream, and we will see you next week. Adios, guys.